Hey, it's Mo Ari.
And Tiffany.
And you're listening to the hashtag Love Goals podcast. Before we get into this episode, I just want you to remember that every human, regardless of identity, needs these three things: belonging, authenticity, and love.
And after a decade of partnership, we've learned to co-create these things and so much more.
So from wherever you're listening, we're going to go on a journey of becoming our own hashtag Love Goals. Now let's get into this episode. Hey, it's Mo Ari.
And Tiffany.
And you are listening to the hashtag Love Goals podcast. Thank you all so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you all.
So we've been thinking a lot over here about friendships and how they really are supposed to be this village around your relationship. And we've had a number of friends come and go over the years, and a lot of them for good reasons. Some people you miss, some people you don't. But it's necessary, I think, to be intentional about the people that you have surrounding your relationship. So I want to pose this scenario to you, Tiffany.
Okay.
Because I think that I think you do well with these scenarios, even though you say I hate hypotheticals. But I'm going to pose a scenario to you, one that I think we both heard a lot.
Okay.
So in this scenario, let's say a woman is having difficulty with her girlfriend.
Okay.
Or let's say her wife. Let's make it a kind of permanent situation.
Okay.
Make it spicy.
Yeah.
So this woman is having issues with her wife. And then she goes to, and maybe they have like a really difficult time, like a really bad argument or something. And then she goes to her best friend and her family members, her first cousins. And she's like, do you believe what she did? You know, this has been such a hard time. She's crying. She's doing all the dramatics of like, I'm not going to take this anymore. Just like really upset. You know how people can be when they're like really upset. And, you know, they really comfort her. They're there for her. They have all those conversations with her. They take those deep dives. And then in about a few hours, she gets a phone call from her wife. You know, she goes home and she talks about it. And they really work through it as they always do. And then they decide they're going to go to therapy and whatnot. So they're like good. Like after a month or two of therapy, they've like started really working through some of their communication patterns. And they're seriously intentional about making this thing work. So, you know, let's say 2-3 months roll around and it's now the holiday season and it's like barbecue time. Let's make it like Juneteenth time. Like we're really having a good time. We chilling, we kicking it. It's barbecue season.
Yeah.
You know, you got the uncles out with the shorts and the
And
the sandals on the grill. Like picture it, family reunion time. In walks this woman with her wife, and she hasn't seen her first cousins or this best friend in a minute, like in person with her partner. In walk them to the family reunion, and the first cousins, they acting funny to the wife, and the friend is like acting a little standoffish, and you know, her wife might be none the wiser because she doesn't know that she had this conversation. She's like, why they acting funny? She's like going to her best friends and her cousins like, hey, you know, why y'all acting funny to my wife? And they like, because you don't remember how upset you were. And now you saying y'all back together, y'all doing good. But like, it's going to take me a minute for her to regain my trust, right? What a hard situation to be in. And I think I've heard this time and time again. I've heard this a lot. But it made me really think about like, who should you run to when you have a difficulty in your relationship? Who can you talk about your relationship with or the challenges that you're facing? Who is even wise counsel and who can hold both sides of that narrative and really just want to see you win, but not win individually?
Yes.
If, you know, who can hold that and not hold it against that person? Who's going to be uninviting your wife to the family reunion?
Yes.
Who's going to accept your husband back into the fold after you've accepted him back into the fold?
Yeah.
All right, Tiffany, go ahead, take that away.
Ooh, that's
the
hard
scenario.
one. No, that's a hard one. I have often struggled with figuring out who to share this stuff with, how often to share, how detailed of the information it is that I'm going to share.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't think that there's one formula or one way that it looks. I will say that, I really try to operate from a place of like what I do in these situations when I have friends reach out to me.
Yeah.
Oof, man, you got me really thinking here. Because I am a person who can hold grudges.
Absolutely. We already know
You
this
weren't
about
just
you.
supposed to just co-sign that immediately.
Yeah.
But because I'm a person that can hold grudges, I have realized after being in our relationship, being in our marriage for the amount of time that we have, how important it is to be able to confide in someone.
Absolutely.
That is going to hold me to a standard of not holding grudges, but also not go and hold grudges themselves.
Exactly.
And I think it can get very, very unhealthy.
Yeah.
One, in a relationship, if I'm just holding this grudge, if it's something that we worked through or healed and I'm still carrying this narrative, I'm still holding this grudge, it can be very harmful to our relationship.
Absolutely.
Add in the piece of me telling my best friend when we had that challenging moment 3 months ago, whatever I said, and then now they looking at you funny. Like, no.
Yeah.
So I'll say that it's very important. With that, I guess I'll say that it's important for me when I think about. So I'm gonna run you through a scenario, like a situation. If you and I had a challenging conversation, right?
Yeah.
After the conversation, I asked myself like a couple questions.
Okay.
I asked myself like, is this something I feel like I can work out on my own? If I do reach out to my friend, like if I reach out to my best friend, what do I need from her? Like, do I need her to just be like, yeah, that was so wrong? Or do I need her to be like helping me find solutions for what's happening? And I honestly, I think I still struggle to what degree I'm going to share.
Yeah.
Not because I don't trust her or I don't trust the people that I often end up confiding in, but because some part of me still has that like, are you fully going to let this go if I decide, well, when I decide, because I mean, it's never been a situation where I'm just like, oh my God, like, this is over. Is this a person who's going to hold perspective essentially?
Yeah.
Can you hold perspective? Like, do you support my relationship? Do you support my relationship? Like, you can say you support me, but if you don't support my relationship, it's a question there, like, as to whether you support me or not. So I guess in a roundabout way of you asking me like how I approach that, I feel like it's very important for me to find people that won't hold grudges or are able to hold perspective.
Yeah.
But then it's super important then for me to also confide in people that I feel like truly support my relationship and like essentially their team motive. Like not just team Tiffany, not just team Mo, but like team us together.
Yeah.
It's hard though. It's hard. And
I think that this does get very complicated because, or it doesn't have to be. I think we often are so used to in our society not having a ton of boundaries or not having like separation between our relationships. Like everybody knows everybody's business. And so it can feel uncomfortable if you set up those kinds of boundaries, or you can say, there are some things I'm just not going to talk to other people about because this is what is happening in this relationship. And this goes the same for friendships and other things. Like you don't tell me every single thing your best friend tells you. And nor would you. So it's the same thing about our romantic relationships, but a lot of times we don't treat them as different. But this goes the same for like your children. You don't talk about every single thing that your child does to another person, nor should you. maybe you're doing that, but you shouldn't do that. You know?
You're right.
So I think raising the standard on what gets shared and what doesn't, but not from a place of like, can this person, not just from a place of, can this person hold this?
Yeah.
Can this person move on from this? But also not sharing it from a place of respect for your relationship with this other person.
That's important.
Because that happened in that relationship. And a lot of times our friends are not mutual friends. So it's not just about, are they supportive of your relationship? Are they a mutual friend?
Yeah.
Because then that can feel a lot more like, okay, this person should have access to, you know, what is happening in our relationship, or can. Let's not even say should. I hate the word should. But can have access, because we both agree this would be a great sounding board for us to go to. This person would be a great sounding board for us to go to when there's something that comes up.
Yeah, I absolutely. And I was just sitting here thinking about the difference in friendships. Let's say I have one of my closest friends, we've been friends over 20 years, right? And there's a whole history of me primo. There's like Tiffany Elementary School, like this whole life before you. So this is a person who's known me this long. They have gotten to know you, you know, as a result of us being in a relationship. So I was sitting here thinking, like, is there then a difference? Or, yeah, is there like a difference in understanding of relationship, let's say relationship challenges, if there is a friend, let's say like a solo friend that has turned into a friend or supporter of the relationship versus like a friend that you've made as a couple, or a friend that has really put in the time to know you as a couple. Does that make sense?
I just think that people should be discriminatory about what they share about their relationship to another person.
Yeah.
Because there are some things about your relationship with that, or you should ask, is this okay that I share?
Yeah.
I think that there has to be a relationship decision at a point. I don't think that you should share every single thing about your relationship to your friends, unless I don't think you should share everything about your marriage to your friends unless you have made that decision. Before you are a we, I don't think it's necessarily a free-for-all for what you can share, but the boundaries certainly are different. When you're just dating someone, heck no, you should not keep everything to yourself. Your friends are there to help you to sort out the junk, to figure out who's a frog, who's a prince. Like, absolutely do not keep that stuff to yourself. You'll be messing yourself up for not relying on that sounding board that you have worked so hard to cultivate. Those people are there to help you to be able to see the forest through the trees.
Yeah.
But in a marriage, you have gotten to the place of making a particular kind of commitment, it feels like, where we now have to decide as a relationship, and probably prior to arguments happening, decide as a relationship what we're going to share, what feels good for us to share, who our sounding board people are going to be.
Yeah.
What do you think about the question you asked?
No, I agree. I feel like out of respect for the marriage, I think is very important. And I think I've done this, or we really try to do a good job of this. If there's something that we feel like we need to process with someone external, more likely than not, it's our best friends. We're like, kind of touch base as to what that would be, what the extent of that would look like sharing, or, you know, if there's particular pieces of the conversation that we might feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And not like I don't want to tell them this whole story and give them like a one-sided view of the picture, but honestly, out of sheer respect for the relationship, right? If there's a piece that I'm trying to sort through and I need help, like try to figure out a solution, then I might not need to share the whole of the story. And again, we're having this conversation about just having that mutual respect. So I totally agree with that.
See, I agree with you, but I have a slight addendum to that.
Okay.
I think, though, I operate in truth in all of my relationships. So I'm not going to talk to you about what is going on with me and my partner if I'm not going to tell you the truth about what is happening with me and my partner, if that makes sense. I would not appreciate if someone came to me like, I need advice, I don't know what's happening, blah, blah, blah. And they didn't tell me this detail because they can't tell me. You're not in a place where you can even receive what I have to say or really give me the information I need to be able to share advice or do anything in a way that's helpful, because you can't share that particular piece. So I think you have to really assess whether or not, like, I would suggest that anyone assess whether or not they can even have a real conversation with their friend. If you can't really come to that relationship in truth, then you should talk about something else. But you'd really have to decide, like, I'm going to have to share this with them, but I really want to get them. You can even invite your friend into saying, hey, friend, like, I want to talk to you about what is coming up for me and Tiffany. And I want to make sure that you can hold both perspectives. Going in, it might be challenging, but I really know that there are things I need to be accountable for and own, and I need your help in doing that. This is not me trying to shit on Tiffany, right? I need you to understand that from the beginning. Because friends, of course, are going to rally behind you. They're going to want your best interest at the end of the day. And so many of them, depending on how they operate in relationships or how they've seen their parents operate in relationships, they might not have the best strategies, or they might not know to really stay neutral, try to be balanced, try to invite your friend into accountability or ownership. But at the end of the day, once you have made the commitment toward marriage, you need people that have that type of focus in mind. You cannot get advice from people who don't have that kind of perspective in mind. That does not mean that they're married. Married people get bad advice too. You laughing.
Say louder for the people in the back.
Married people get bad advice too. So I really think it's about the person having this perspective of, you all are a we. So I need you to be accountable for your stuff, friend. You coming to me for advice, I need you to be accountable. And then if I'm talking to my friend and my friend is holding me accountable, then we come back better for the relationship. So many people go to their friends doing exactly that, wanting that what is that affirmation of that they did what they it becomes about fighting more so, and getting somebody to like you know how like you in between boxing ring rounds, they go to their coach and they coach amp them up, and then they get back in the ring. That's what people are often doing when they go to their friend. They want somebody to wipe off their sweat, give them some water so they can go back in and keep fighting. Charged up, just literally hate that. What is this friend doing to support your relationship? What are you doing to support your relationship? Forget about the friend. A friend is not even in the relationship. I won't put this off on friends. You know, some of them trifling, but like we don't have any of those people in our lives.
No.
But what are you doing to support your relationship? You're going to this friend to talk trash about your partner, and then you're wondering why they're not invited to the family reunion. I would not forgive you for that. No, I mean, I could forgive you. I'm not that I'm easily forgiving, but I just would not want that kind of dynamic. At no point should we be trash talking our partner to another person.
I was going to say, at the point where you're trash talking your partner, like, to another person outside of your relationship, you really got to sit and ask yourself, like, what's happening here? Like, do I actually like this person?
Exactly.
Like, we can be upset. We can have all of these feelings, which are fine. But like the point of trash talking, I think that is
trash talking or having all these feelings about how you just been wronged and hurt. All of that is going to make somebody that loves you come to your defense and really see, because they want to have empathy for you.
Absolutely.
So ultimately they're going to be like, that's so terrible. But then they don't have this other side of the story.
Yeah. Which I was going to say is, I think my best friend and I, we really try to practice this, and we don't always get it right, but we try to take an opportunity at the beginning of the conversation to say, okay, what's happening? What's your feelings?
Yeah.
Okay, those are valid feelings. Yeah. Now, if it's right, like that's another question. Like, okay,
if what is right?
If the feeling that you're having, let's say you know, I say, I'm so mad. Like, I'm so mad about this thing.
Yeah.
Okay. You're mad. I understand you're mad.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to be, okay, maybe it's not right. It's like, that doesn't have to be a fact. Like, my feeling doesn't have to be an absolute 100%
Feelings
fact.
are not facts.
They are not facts. Your feelings are valid. Okay? Like, you're mad. That's fine. You're mad. But let's talk about, like, what we do with that or after that. So we try to create a container or a space to say, like, okay, this is the feeling. Now what else is there? What else is underneath there? Now sometimes when you're in the heat of the moment, it can easily pivot to trash talking. I'm not even gonna lie about that.
And I think there is what you're getting at, which I think is important, is that there has to be a level of accountability for the person that's going to their friend.
Exactly.
To an ownership so that they are going to actually be changed or move forward in their relationship with their partner. It is not you seeking support if you're going to just defend your position. Seeking validation, seeking approval from other people that you were right or that the other person was wrong is what we go to when we're really feeling unsafe or insignificant or we're really feeling, activated. Maybe we feel victimized, powerless. We're feeling all of these feelings, right? But instead of learning something or taking the opportunity to say, what is this feeling showing me about the situation or about how I'm showing up? We often then want to focus on the other person. So good friends are going to hold you accountable to your role in that because when you've decided to be in a marriage, you are not deciding to be an I defended against another. You're deciding to come together as a we. And so your friends have to shift in that mindset as well. Like they're going to hold you to the fire. If they're really good friends, they're going to say, sis, I know what you're telling me, but unless you're telling me that it was some abuse, you need to figure out what part you play in this.
Exactly. And I feel like I even try to start the conversations. Even if I'm upset, I'll be like, so I also want to offer that I agree with your amendment that if you're going to go talk to your friend, you can't leave out vital pieces of the story and expect to get like sound advice or solutions. I think it's unfair to you. It's unfair to your relationship.
It's unfair to your friend.
And it's unfair to your friend to not offer the whole of the story. Yeah, I move second, but that whole amendment. Okay. But I was going to say that when I am having a conversation with my best friend, I, can say I'm feeling upset or I'm feeling this thing about that. And I often say, this is the situation or this is the story. Is there something I'm missing? Like, is there a perspective here that you might be able to share that I literally cannot fathom or see because of my own feelings? I don't always remember to ask that question. But I also trust that if I don't ask that question, then she'll have that. We kind of have this shared understanding that, okay, I'm going to offer this thing to you that you might not be able to see. And I think that's so important. This is like what you were saying about having a sounding board. Like we pour into our friendships and we, find these like-minded people to create, this sounding board and this tribe for moments like this. Like this is when it's necessary to be able to say, Tiffany, I understand you're upset, but sis, like.
And in order to have that, though, we have to intentionally create that community, intentionally have these conversations with our friends and say, hey, I want to be supported like this in my relationship. I need you to hold me accountable. Even when it's challenging or I come to you and I'm mad and I'm really just in my own anger, you need to call me into myself and say, hey, I see you're in anger. I can see that you're feeling upset. I hear this victim narrative emerging. I really want to call you into your power. You're not a victim. You are a person who chose to be with that person because you love them. How can I help you to sit in that love and accountability? That doesn't mean that things don't need to change in the relationship. I want you to be able to own your power in changing them. Because a lot of times, why we're angry is because we don't think that we can actually change the relationship. But if we only knew our power inside of ourselves to show up differently and create the relationship we wanted, we would operate differently. So we need our friends to tell us, hey, what are you going to do to show up differently? What are you each going to do to show up differently?
Yeah.
You know, and I do think that all of the people in our lives right now do that, which I think is good, right?
Yeah.
It helps because they know both of us. They, even if they were your friends longer or my friends longer, they really can see us as good together and that we really want to grow, but we also invite them into that. So I think as we transition into hashtag love resources, which is the segment of our show where we really talk about moving the theory into practice. These are valuable tools that we can use to apply all of this love goal magic to our lives. If we want to be our own hashtag love goals, we want to equip you all with hashtag love resources along the way. And so I think as we think about how to know whether or not someone is supportive of your relationship or someone that you can go to, what are some of those ways that we can notice that someone is supportive, that they're a person that we can rely on, that there's somebody that we can have this conversation with and say, hey, hold me accountable when it comes down to it. I need you to be able to be balanced in your view of our relationship. I need you to be able to hold space for both of our narratives. Even if you're not talking to that person, I need you to hold them like they were here. How do you know that that's a person that can do that? Because there are going to be plenty of people in our lives that have no capacity.
Yeah. I would say number one, it's really important, or you can spot a person and their ability to have perspective by their curiosity.
Okay, curiosity.
So if I'm having a conversation with you about whatever thing happened, if you're really curious about the details of that and not just coming with assumptions.
Yeah.
But because I have a best friend of 20 years, she knows a lot about me, a lot of assumptions she can just make off the bat. But being able to have that curiosity about what's happening in the present moment with this Tiffany, who's not the 8-year-old Tiffany, is very important because I'm very different.
Yeah.
So I would say I'm willing to bet that if a person is able to be curious in those conversations, then they have some ability to have perspective and hold both narratives.
Beautiful. So number one, curiosity.
Yeah.
Number two, I'm thinking someone has a growth mindset. So someone that has grown with you over time has the mindset of someone who's always looking toward expansion, becoming better. Those are the people that you know can really keep up with you and where you're going in your relationship. If you're a person that is really coming to your friend because you want them to help you grow and be better, you can't talk to a friend that you know is good being stuck in the same old they've been in since you were kids.
Absolutely.
Or since you met them, every single time you talk to them, they're doing the same thing. That doesn't mean that people won't repeat patterns.
Exactly.
But if they don't even like advice when you're trying to give them advice, they're not the people you want to be going to, because that's not a growth mindset. But somebody that's like receptive to feedback, like, tell me when I'm wrong. That's a person. So a growth mindset, I feel like, is really, really important.
Yeah.
So what would you say is number 3?
Let's see. Number 3. I would say also someone that is compassionate, because I feel like in these moments, and we talked about challenge a lot, like we're specifically speaking about if there's like a challenge in a relationship, someone that's able to provide a safe space. Right now, my friend can't make me feel safe, but creating some sort of an environment where I feel like, you know what, I can share this thing.
Yeah.
And then they're not going to go post it on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
Or they're going to really listen to me.
They're not going to look at your partner
They're
funny.
not going to look at my partner funny. They're going to listen to me. And pushing it a step further, you're going to listen to me and say, you know, I heard what you said, and I feel like you're missing this perspective here. So creating this space for me to fully, you know, voice my concerns or what I need to say with no judgment.
Yeah.
I feel like that safe space really starts with having compassion for me, for our friendship, and even for the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Now this is another one. Let me hit you with another one.
Okay, I'm ready.
So that was number 3. Number 4.
Yeah.
I haven't fully made this into a bite-sized thing, so I'm going to just say this. It has to be someone that's a friend of your relationship. Not that that person has to be friends with both of you all. That's nice when they're mutual friends. But there are some stragglers around there that are not friends to your relationship. That'd be like, okay, I'm having a trouble with Tiffany.
Yeah.
I'm going to go talk to that friend I've been making at work that's winking at me every day. Right? That's a straggler.
That you got a straggler?
No, I don't have any stragglers. I loosed myself of stragglers. But that's not a friend to your relationship. So I want us to be very clear about that, because there are people lurking in the wings always.
Yes.
To come and be that friend. Right?
Yes, always.
That's not a friend to you if they want to see your relationship suffer, regardless of if it's suffering on its own.
Right.
You don't need that kind of friendship right now. And so get rid of the stragglers. The number 4 hashtag love resource is to really be intentional that you find friends of your relationship.
Yes.
So people that really are wanting to support you, wanting to see your partner, wanting to really see you all grow, and are like really rocking with you all as a duo.
Yes.
Or a triad.
Yes.
Or however your configuration is.
Right. Yeah, that tribe is, it's so important to have that. Like, so important. I feel like all of these love resources, I'm sure we can come up with like 10 other ones.
We are done for today.
Being curious, having the growth mindset, being compassionate, and number 4,
just making sure that person's a friend of the relationship.
Yeah.
I think that is vital. I just want to pause us here.
Yeah.
We've gone through our episode today. We're going to have this conversation more. This one is going to be a little bit longer of an episode for you all. But
good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. I'm just glad we had this conversation. Thanks to all of our friends for always being supportive of our relationship. That's why you're still in our lives.
Absolutely.
Because we're not going anywhere as a item, and you all aren't going anywhere either. That's also another thing. Friends that are secure with how they see your relationship growing and expanding, because it can be hard for people to see you getting close to another person if, let's say, you've been in their life for 20 years, but your friends have always been like, Mo, like they just,
and so have yours,
right? And my friends too.
Yeah.
So, well, not all the ones that are still here.
Stop.
But I love y'all so much, and I'm just so grateful for us to have this conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, have a great day and be well.
Bye.
Be your own hashtag love goals.
If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.
If you want your question featured in an upcoming episode of the hashtag Love Goals Podcast, go ahead and send your question to lovegoalspodcast@gmail.com. Check out our website at lovegoalspodcast.com and follow us on Instagram at Love Goals Podcast. We look forward to hearing from you soon.